Now we had heard many testimony of individual claiming that you said that you had matric degrees and also postgraduate degrees. What have you got to say on that?
No, I finished school at 14 in Western area.
Just speak up a little bit, please.
I finished school at 14 in Western area.
Did you ever made yourself out to have had any, either a matric or any degrees or postgraduate degrees?
No,
We also heard from witnesses that you would have said that you have professional qualifications, doctor, psychologist, lawyer. What do you have to say on that?
no, that's not true.
Were you aware of the document of the company entire deity of accused one, in either letterhead or prospectus, where your name appeared with doctors and master degrees, etc.?
No, I know he registered the company and the name was entire IT trading, but I didn't know about the letterhead or anything else.
Have you ever seen this document?
No.
With regard to your health, we have heard very versions of many witnesses, of which Dr. Lowe also testified. Can you tell the court what conditions do you have, or did you have, still have, and what is the status with your health now?
I did have liver, which I got chemo for from Dr. Mal. He was my oncologist. My cardiologist is Dr. Valentine, and my cardiothorax is Dr. Marcel. He's a lung specialist. Since 2004, I had lung problems, which just got worse and worse. There was a stage I was in the hospital more than I was at home.
Slow down a little bit, please.
Okay. When my daughter was born, she was born premature because I had preeclampsia. She was born in 6 months. We both ended up in ICU. And after that, when I kept on getting sick, I was referred to Dr. Blunt. He did numerous tests. And then he found out I had Klebsiella pneumonia and Krugersdorp, which is basically hospital bugs. And that did damage to my lungs and my heart. So right now I have an immunodeficiency, which my immune system does not fight flus and bronchitis and stuff like that. I've got epilepsy. High blood pressure is under control, but it still shoots up now and then. I've got asthma, chronic bronchitis, and a stomach ulcer.
You referred to a cardiologist. What is the nature of your heart condition?
I have a very high heart rate. My heart rate doesn't stay constant. It is, the normal heart rate for me would be 120, 125.
You also mentioned epilepsy.
Yes.
How long ago have you had an epileptic fit?
About 2 months ago was my last fit, but I've had it since 2003.
And how frequent were these fits?
It depends on how stressful I am, but mostly it's under control. I take medication for it every day.
You also saw a psychiatrist and a psychologist.
Yes.
That was the evidence also. What was the reason for seeing these two professionals?
The psychiatrist and the psychologist, the first two, I started seeing in 2006, 2007, because I couldn't leave my house. I started seeing them. Maria said, stop seeing them because it's a spiritual thing, not a physical thing. I stopped seeing Sandra Erasmus, she was my psychologist, and Mary DeMarsha, she was my psychiatrist. And then I resumed seeing a psychologist in 2013.
Sorry, you went to the psychologist and psychiatrist because you couldn't leave your house.
Yes, I
Be a
had
little bit more
agoraphobia.
specific?
I had agoraphobia. What would happen is, because I had problems with my lungs, as soon as I would leave my house, I'll feel fine. And as soon as I'm at a place where I don't feel well, the next time I don't want to go there. So the radius
How did you relate this agoraphobia with the testimony delivered by many people that you had certain boundaries that was not medically related?
I had restrictions on where I would go and not go, but it's not a physical boundary. On some days when I was fine and feeling fine, I could go further, but I would normally limit myself to being close to Krugersdorp Killers. I don't have boundaries, so to speak.
So you're saying that you could not go far from your home due to the agoraphobia?
In case I would get anxious, get a full-blown panic attack as soon as I go too far from my house.
Did you receive therapy for this condition?
Yes, I did.
What was the therapy?
Dr. Tamasha put me on tranquilizers to try and calm me down, so that I don't have a panic attack. The medication I didn't agree with, so I saw the psychologist. She refers me to see a psychologist. We started with hypnosis and stuff like that, but then I stopped seeing her.
So who is Dr. Damasha?
She's the psychiatrist.
How long did you see her?
About 2 years.
Say again?
About 2 years.
In what years was that?
Maybe 2006 and 2007.
Why did you stop seeing her?
Ria accompanied me to my psychologist one day. She asked if she could. She asked the psychologist permission if she could sit in, and I didn't have a problem with it, and neither did she. After that, Ria said, you know, your problem is a spiritual one, not a physical one, so I stopped seeing her.
Now for 2 years you believed the psychiatrist. Now a non-medical professional tells you to stop seeing the psychiatrist and just stop seeing. What was your reason or motivation behind that?
I've been seeing him for 2 years and I still couldn't leave. So at that stage, you get desperate, you'll try anything to get better.
And did you believe her?
Yeah, I did.
And did your condition improve?
No, it actually got worse.
Were you ever hospitalized due to these conditions that you mentioned?
Yes, numerous times.
Was it only in certain times, or was it over a number of years that you were hospitalized?
Over a number of years, in and out, in and out.
Could you identify a specific condition?
For Klebsiella pneumonia, I was in the hospital for 8 weeks to diagnose my epilepsy so we can make sure which frontal or real lobe epilepsy I've got. Dr. Dixon admitted me to a week. When I was losing, I was a little bit anemic and I was losing blood some way, so she admitted me as well to do different tests to find out what's wrong. For asthma, I got admitted a week at a time, at least once a month at certain stages. Was at casualties a lot due to my chest closing up until they basically managed my medication so I can do my naps on oxygen and everything at home so that my trips to casualty won't be so frequent.
How many times a day did you use your oxygen tank?
Same as I do now, I use it, well, my one naps is every 8 hours and my others are just when needed.
Were you dependent from the oxygen?
Pretty much. I think your body gets used to oxygen, so it's difficult to come after a while without it.
In the condition DID, dissociated identity disorder, are you aware of that?
Yes, I am. And it was, well, before I got arrested, I had since 2013 seen a psychologist. Well, for various different reasons, but that being one of them.
How did you know that you suffered from this condition? How did it come about? Tell the court.
Well, the area first told me that she thinks I've got DID, so didn't know much about it. Didn't really think it was that big of a problem. My biggest problem was leaving my house. So by the time I wasn't talking to her anymore, I realized, but listen, I need to fix this. If there is a problem, let me fix it. And that's when I started seeing this psychologist. So yeah. And we were still busy working on that when I got arrested.
Can you, in your own words, without talking medical jargon, can in your own words describe to the court how you see DID?
From my point of view is I would lose time. Not lose time as literally. I would be busy with one thing and then be busy with something else completely and had no idea what I did in between. So to me it was basically just losing track of time, I wrote it off on being forgetful. And normal things that you would think it's just your own stupidity. But that was my experience of it.
Do you know what personalities you actually assumed? Were you ever told by anyone?
People spoke about it, but for me, unless I see it myself or know it myself, I wouldn't know. Until you see it yourself, you don't take people serious.
No videos or pictures or DVDs taken of the switch over?
The only videos I saw was of the high days, which I also had to make, and that was the only videos I saw.
Do you know Anya?
No, don't know her, but I have heard people speak of her.
From who did you hear?
From Maria, from Krugersdorp. Who I didn't mention yet, but again, don't take it too serious.
What other names are you aware of?
Akisha, Daphne, names like that.
And you say that you could never
No name.
personally memorize any of these personalities. Are you a Satanist?
No, I am.
Are you a Christian?
Yes,
Reborn Christian?
yes.
When were you reborn?
And they said it came from overcomers for Christ. It was never a ministry, it's just a slogan that we all liked.
It was also suggested that Electus per Deus was a ministry. What have you to say about that?
No, there was never a ministry. Never.
How did it come about that the various people in your friendship group knew about the tattoos and then eventually every one of them got tattoos?
Basically, they liked the idea of being chosen by God. So they got a tattoo. Melissa got a tattoo because it was personal to her. She got sick and almost died. And after that, she said, you know what, you really are chosen by God. So she got a tattoo. Her brother got a tattoo. Shaw got his tattoo for his own reasons. I did, South, Marcel, Marinda, we all got it for our own personal different reasons. No one was told, no, you have to get a tattoo or anything like that. Yeah.
Did you ever promote the tattoo?
No, I didn't. You do not promote someone to copy your tattoo, so no, it's not something you promote.
Now, it was also said that this group of friends had also one thing in mind, inter alia, not one thing in mind, inter alia had in mind that you would have prayer meetings at your residence. We heard the testimony.
Yeah, but we never had prayer meetings at my house. We would have discussions, normal Bible discussions. I would be sitting on my kitchen counter, busy making dinner and having a discussion with someone. That's not having a prayer group. If I was busy in the kitchen, all of us would be sitting in the kitchen. One would be sitting on the entries, this one would be sitting on the counter, or grab a chair and pull it, and we have discussions. The same discussions we would have about music or movies or a book. But we had discussions about religion, but never a prayer meeting or church structure or anything.
Who would you say was the leader of this group of friends?
I would say the oldest one, which was Marinda. She was the oldest one between all of us.
Because the state of it is that you were actually the leader, the ringleader to be specific, of this enterprise. What would you say on that?
I would say that's not true.
Who led the discussions when you came together? I could just testify.
one of us would read a book that's interesting and we'll have a discussion about the book. It depends on what the topic was we were discussing. If it was fishing, it was normally Zak that would come back from a tiger fishing trip and say, you know what, you won't believe it, this fish spit back my hook, you know, and actually have a picture of the fish, the hook, the fish spit back, and we'll have a discussion about how that's not possible, but it's something that physically happened, and we'll have a discussion about it. Marcel would read a book or write a test and we'll have a discussion about it. So different things brought up by different people. It's not specifically one person.
Where in your house did these meetings or gatherings take place?
90% of the time I spend my time in my room. So,
Why?
It's where my TV was, it's where my laptop was, it's connected to my TV, it's where all my things are, everything is there. So 90% of the time we spend time in my room. In the kids' room, it was PlayStations blaring and music at the same time. In the living room, there it's sports. It's either cricket or robbery, and neither of which interests me. So, yeah, 90% of the time I spend time in my room.
Jared's fiance testified that she found it strange, she frowned upon that, the issue that you were gathering in your bedroom and not in the living room.
No, we spend 90% of our time in my bedroom. There was space for everybody, so yeah, everybody sat in my room the whole day.
And were there specific places for certain people to sit?
No. Basically, Marinda would occupy the bed next to mine because she normally came home with lots of marking work, so it was scattered all around her. When Zak comes in, he normally wanted to be close to the plug because he needed to plug in his laptop, so he would sit there, but otherwise he would sit anywhere. Anywhere there's space, basically. The kids would normally sit on the bottom side of my bed because my daughter would normally take the whole space on this side of the bed. So obviously if someone else sat on the bed where they normally sit, they would sit on the floor. But yeah, you sat where you got space, basically.
Did you know about the robberies and the murders that occurred in the Krugersdorp area?
No,
You didn't read it in the press?
in the press later on, but no, prior knowledge to it.
Let's come to the evidence of Roux. He testified that he knew you from 2008. Would you agree?
Yes.
How did you meet the Steyns? That's the other Steyns.
I think his mother's been visiting there for a few months, and then I think one night his father came and dropped them off, and they dropped them off at my place, and that's when I met him.
Sorry, you said visiting there. Where is there?
They were visiting their father for the
Their father.
weekend. Yes.
And where was that?
I don't know where he stayed at that stage. I think he was staying somewhere in Pretoria. So when he came back, Marinda was at my place and he dropped the kids off there.
He also testified that the primary reason why they actually moved to Kosana was to look after you, because you were coding it with sick leave. What would you say on that?
That's not true. Roux was still in school at that stage. And after he left school, well, a few months before he left school, he started working as well. So he wasn't there nights and he was at school. So there's no way he could have watched me 24 hours.
But we also heard testimony that he actually didn't attend school due to the fact that he had to look after you. What would you say?
The fact he didn't attend school was when, through exams, when he was at home. And then his idea of studying was his book next to him and the PlayStation on. So when he was at my house 90% of the time, he was in front of the PlayStation.
So would you deny him looking after you?
Yes, yes.
He also testified that you were alone at that stage and they had to take care of you. What would you say?
I have a domestic worker that came every day, so I was never alone during the day. The only times I was alone was when Dries worked night shift, which was 2 days, where he worked 2 day shifts, 2 night shifts, then he's off for 4. Marcel or one come for his 2 night shifts, come and sleep over for in case my chest closes up and I could need to go run over to the hospital. There's someone at home for the kids.
He also testified that you started Electus Proteus as a ministry to counter Ria, or to be in opposition to Ria.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
He also testified that the group Electus Proteus had to be identifiable, and you specifically referred to the tattoos. What would you say on that?
That's not true, because people that weren't in our friendship circle had the tattoo as well. So, no, that's not true.
He actually did concede that there was no force on anyone that he knows about to have the tattoo. Then he went on and said that the friendship group who regularly came together had to refer to you as C and not Cecilia because of the fact that there was your name Cecilia had satanic connections to it. What would you say to that?
That's not true. C is just a nickname. It actually started with BBM's typing. Instead of typing my whole name, they would type just the initial C. So everybody called me C.
Still at his testimony with regard to the bombs, he testified that you instructed him to improve a cracker up to a stage where it can blow up a car. What would you say to that?
No, that's not true. I have a fear of fireworks, so no.
Are you?
I have
Sorry?
a fear of fireworks, so no.
You also instructed him to create bombs, to create destruction amongst Ria and her people.
No, that's not true.
You also testified that gunpowder, that you arranged the gunpowder to be obtained from a nearby gun shop. What did you say to that?
No, that's not true. I do know of the gun shop he's referring to, but you can't buy gunpowder without a firearm license. You need to have one. So no, I've never gotten gunpowder from any gun shop.
Have you ever tried to buy gunpowder without it?
No, I would have no need to.
He also testified that you and the other accused with Marinda played around, quote him, with homemade bombs.
That's not true.
And that these devices were actually manufactured either in number 1 Kosana or in the store at Kosana.
No, that was after that. There was no bombs or firecrackers ever made in my home or in my store.
Did you instruct any of the accused, co-accused, or other friends to be involved in the throwing or explosive of any explosive device or crackers or such?
No, I didn't.
Did you hear at any stage of these explosions that occurred?
The one night, Ria phoned me. I was in the hospital at the time, and she wanted to speak to Dries about explosives they found at one of her meetings. I said, you know what, I'm at the hospital, so you're going to have to need to phone Dries. And then which she did, she phoned Dries, and I think he told her that if she's not going to open a case, to throw the things away, because she's driving around with them in her car. And yeah, that's the only time I heard. And then afterwards, with the others, I heard afterwards what happened.
Okay, let us now divide the two. This one that you spoke to, was that the incident with the petrol?
I believe so,
Cans.
because she told me over the phone she found packages. So I believe it's the same one. I'm not sure if it was the same
Did you also heard the testimony of various people that there were explosions actually at Kelly and other places? Did you hear later on
Yes.
of
Later
these
on.
explosions?
Yes.
From whom and what did you hear?
Later on, I heard from Ria herself and from Dominic Hennon that told us about it.
And did you have any prior knowledge of these explosions?
No, I didn't.
Were you in any way involved in these explosions?
No, I wasn't.
He also testified that the content of the explosives actually came from your storeroom.
No, there was not ever any explosives in my store, ever.
And any substances to produce any explosives? Could that have been in your storeroom?
No, compost for my garden. I heard they said it was fertilizer that was found on the bombs, but I had compost and stuff in my storeroom, but that was for my garden, but not anything they used in explosives. No. I don't think that compost and fertilizer is the same thing.
He also went on and said the letter attached to the church gate, that was the fire, and this was referred to Exhibit B, my lord. That was the note found on the gate of the Lighthouse Church.
Is that the one in Renberg?
Yeah, correct. He actually testified that it was written by you and Marinda. What would you say to that?
No, that's not true.
He also testified that after the fire at the Lighthouse Church, he provided you with feedback regarding the operation.
No.
What would you say?
Not true. He's never spoken to me about any fire in a church.
We're still on his evidence with regard to Natasha's murder. How did you get to know Natasha?
I met her at Ria's house. She was there with Arana. After that, she was at my house once or twice, just visiting with Arana. I think she was there once alone, and then that was basically it.
When did you meet her?
Uh,
Do you remember?
2010, around about 2010,
10.
Yeah, around about there.
What was the nature of your acquaintance with Natasha?
She was doing Ria's No Enemy course. So basically, she came to Ria's house because of the course. And then my kids love animals. Once she had her little dog with her, and my daughter couldn't leave the dog alone. She still suggested that I get my daughter one because it's something you can keep in an apartment, and there's no way we would allow that. And other times it was just we visited, had a braai outside and visited. Other than that,
So on a more personal level of the relationship, how did you see her?
as an acquaintance, she wasn't a friend of mine. She didn't come visit to sleep over, but it was someone I got along with.
You also testified that you told your friends, the group, that she prayed the wrong prayer, and due to that, children were dying.
No. If they had prayers, it was the Canaan ministry prayers, and it's prayers that Ria would give out to everybody that does her course. So why would one person specifically pray the wrong prayer? It doesn't make sense.
He further testified that you actually got infuriated with Natasha.
No, me and Natasha never had a fight.
And he also said that she had to be, quote, taken care of. You said that she had to be taken care of.
No, I didn't say that.
He also testified that he overheard you instructing accused 1, Marinda, and Michaela to scout Natasha's movements etc. What do you say?
No, I never asked him to do that.
Then he testified that you also instructed him to obtain number plates, in actual fact to steal number plates.
Yeah,
What do you say?
I've never asked him to steal number plates.
Were you aware of any number plates
No.
being kept on the premises?
The only extra set of number plates we had in our house or storeroom was for our own car, but no other number plates.
Which car was that?
It's a Citroen, it was Dries's. It was in an accident at the back and we got extra set of number plates.
He also testified that on the day of Natasha and Joy Boonzai's murder, accused one put false number plates on his vehicle in Kosana Flats parking area.
No, I've never seen the accused one with false number plates on his car.
Then he also said that after the murders, you were provided feedback in detail in his presence. That is feedback on the murder of Natasha and Joy Boonzai.
No.
Did you hear about their demise?
Yes. That
How?
night, Arana sent me a BBM that said Nat, and I just replied, what did she do now? And because they were busy with a big fight at that stage, and then she told me she died. I woke up, Michaela was next to me in bed, she was sleeping, and I think Zach and them went to go fetch takeaways or something, and when they came back, I told him, Nat passed away.
He testified that after you were provided with feedback regarding their murders, your body language was interpreted by him as being geruststellend in Afrikaans. It is at ease. What would you say to that?
I don't know what my body language was like that night. I mean, we spoke, we had dinner. No one told me there was a murder, so I wouldn't have any reaction at feedback they've given because no one gave me feedback in any case.
No one told you that there was a murder.
Only about Arana, and then he wasn't even in the room when I woke Michaela up to tell her. And he left with Zach and them to buy dinner, so the only time he saw me was when I told Zach that Nat had passed away. So, and it was a normal way of saying, you know what, Nat passed away.
So what was your reaction?
I was shocked, but yeah, a little bit confused. But she didn't say how she passed away. She just said she passed away.
You also testified about a collection of knives and pangas, etc., etc. Tell us more about the knife collection. When it started, how did it come about?
My sister gave me a knife when I was about 14. Carried it around with me everywhere, was very attached to it, and I started collecting knives. So I had knives from Zanzibar, I had knives from all over. I had a Navy SEAL knife, American police knife, different types of knives. Yeah, it's something I was interested in collecting. But I didn't just collect knives, I'm kind of like a collecting person. I collected lots of different things, from cigarette cases to every camel box ever made, different things. But yeah, I collected knives, I had a lot.
What was your reason for collecting knives, per se?
Oh, it's something that interested me, so it's what I collected.
And I think this is now a common cause that the knives were displayed at the back of your bedroom door.
Yes, I started running out of space after a while. So, yeah.
Now, did you know Pastor Reg Bendixson?
I heard of him, never met him before.
He testified, that is LaRue, that he got upset with this guy and got my mother, that is now Marinda, and accused one to murder him, what would you say?
No, I never even met the man, so I couldn't have an opinion about him. I only heard when people spoke about him, but never met him, so no.
Did you and Ria ever have a discussion about her and Pastor Ben Dixon?
No, she didn't. When we discussed things, we didn't really discuss originally.
You also went on and testified that you actually gave Marinda and accused one police uniforms
That's
to go and murder Pastor Ben Dixon. What would you say?
That is not true. They will physically drown in these police uniforms. I think both of them could fit in one themselves, you know, together in one uniform. There's no way I would have given them police uniform.
But were there surplus police uniforms on your premises?
Yes, there was. Dries kept his old uniforms in a crate in our storeroom, because to get new uniforms, they hand in the old ones to get new ones. So yes, there was extra uniforms in my storeroom.
And how were they kept?
In a crate in our storeroom, so he would know where it is.
And was the crate secured?
No, it was just a normal black crate. I think they did have pictures of the black crates.
You also testified that you gave them wigs. What did you say on that?
I've never bought a wig, so I could have never given someone a wig in any way.
Did you know if there were any wigs in the storeroom?
No, I don't think so. There might have been a green clown one which my daughter wore to a party, but that's not something I would give someone a wig with.
You also went on to say, Zak, you and Marinda discussed how Ben Dixon was murdered, and you also said that you regarded the murder as an achievement for electus per Deus. What is your
We never discussed.
answer?
No, we never discussed Reg Ben Dixon's murder.
How did you come to know of his demise?
I think Colonel De Jager informed us that he passed away.
How long after the murder?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was the same day or the next day, but he informed us about it.
Going to Michaela's murder. He testified, and it is common cause now, that Michaela wanted to get out of the group, and that you said she was a loose end, and that loose end had to be cut off.
No, I never said
What do you say?
I never said that.
Let's get to the spare keys. Now, it was testified that you kept spare keys of vehicles and accused one's house and Marinda's house in your safe.
Yes, I did.
What was the reason for keeping them?
I was the only one with the safe, point one. Secondly, I also had spare keys for Marinda's car and, of course, our own car. While Zak was still driving his Opel, he one night locked his keys inside his car and almost had to break a window to get into his car. So after that, kept the spare keys in my safe. And after that, twice, Marinda had to drive to his house to take his extra set of keys for him to get his keys. So it was pretty practical to have an extra set of keys. But then again, everybody also had extra keys for my house. Zak, Michaela, even Marcel, Roux, John, everybody had keys for my place as well.
I did just get clarity on one aspect. He testified initially that you provided Marinda with spare keys of accused one's house on the day when Michaela was murdered, and then said he wasn't sure. What would you say? Did you give
I've never given him
her
any
spare
keys.
keys or not?
No, I've never given her spare keys.
And who had the spare keys of your residence?
Oh, everybody. Zak, Michaela, Marcel, Roux, John, Melissa and them had spare keys. Michaela had keys. Everybody had keys for my flat.
What was the reason?
So they can come in if they want to. It's, yeah.
But you were there.
If I was at
You
the
had agoraphobia.
If I was at the hospital or for any reason not there, they can come in, start making dinner, and yeah. Everybody came basically in and did whatever they want.
With regard to Joshua Groenewald, he said that you instructed the group of friends to scout his whereabouts and his movement. What do you say to that?
No, I didn't.
He also went further and said that you instructed him, this is now Roux, to dig graves, specifically for the purpose to put Joshua's body in.
Yeah, I heard when he said 7 graves. No.
What do you say?
No.
Did Leroux ever come back to you and said that he dug
No.
any holes or
No, he
so-called graves?
never said that he dug a grave or anything like that.
Then he also went further and said that you would supply them with overalls and wigs from your storeroom. And when Jock suddenly stopped visiting you, let's call it disappeared, you freaked out and you were scared that he would go to the police.
No, I was never scared that he would go anywhere. I thought he was just visiting his grandmother. I think he told us his grandmother was sick. So we didn't even know he was gone. Because according to us, he was with his grandmother in Pretoria. So, no.
You didn't know he was gone, but you know he visited his grandmother in Pretoria.
That night he left, which was the last time we saw him, he said his grandmother still sent us a voice note that he's in a hurry. He's not going to eat there. His grandmother is sick and he's on his way there now. A friend or someone is coming to pick him up.
He also just said that you told the group that if anyone sees Jock, they must follow him and kill him. What would you say?
I never told him that.
What was the relationship between you and Jock?
When he arrived with Arana at my house, he was working at a mine, Marikana, and then he lost his job there. Now at that stage there was weird things happening at my house. My brake lines got cut. Marinda's wheel nuts on her car, all 4 wheels were taken loose. There were shots fired at my house was set on fire. So I asked him, since he wasn't working, to put up a gate, and he put in an alarm system inside my house. And then, obviously, paid him for the labor and stuff. And then Dries said, since he knows a friend that has an electrical company, he would hear from him.
You slow down a little bit.
He would find out from him if he can have a position for him there. And yeah, he got him the job at Transvaal.
He also went further, saying that you required more money for the ministry. The money was drying up.
There was no much.
And then John Barnard, according to him, said that his boss had lots of money and the group should rob him. What do you know about that?
I don't know anything about that at all. The only thing I know is John took Zach's business cards and gave it to everybody at his work, not just the boss. And if Zach had any dealings with them, I would have thought it was for business, not for anything else.
Moving to the Meyer murders. Were you in any stage involved in any planning, or did you have prior knowledge to the Meyer's murders?
No, I did not.
Because Leroux testified that after the murders, you were given actually 600 rand, and you were shocked because of the small amount of money obtained from the victims.
No. At that stage, Leroux was in the hospital, but no one murdered anybody, so there was no 600 rand to give to him.
At that stage, are you saying that Leroux was in the hospital the day that the Meyers were murdered?
Yes, John came home from work and visited Leroux at
let's go to the gonna call it Zach's so-called death, or the, as we know it now, the faking of the death. That was in December 2015. Roux testified that the group had no money and that the operation had been planned to fake the death of accused one, claim money on the policy. And that idea primarily came from you.
Do you want to comment on it?
Bottom
You
one?
wanted to comment on that?
Yeah.
Must you comment on it?
She said no.
No.
Would you like to elaborate on that?
No, there was never a discussion of Zach faking his death ever. So, no.
He did also concede that he did not know specifically who decided on the plan, but mostly it came from you. But you deny that. We know at this stage that the policy in question was in arrears, and there was testimony that bringing the premiums up to date, the payment was effected by yourself.
Yes, yes. Zach had the cash with him, and there was no time to get to the bank to get there in time, basically. So I told him, you know what, we're doing Christmas shopping, so I'll swap you. I'll do the transfer to you, and then you give me the cash. So it was just doing him a favor. So we did that a lot. So it wasn't strange.
Did Jared Jackson visit your flat frequently?
Before, they would come ask for money, food, sell sweets, but not frequently. Normally when I spoke to them, it would be through my bedroom window, because Dries had a problem with me letting them into the house. So he would be rude. So to avoid him being rude to them, I would rather just speak to them through the window. But no, not frequent that much.
Do you know the reason why they were not welcome in your house?
Dries didn't like them very much.
Any specific reason why not?
Smelly, stole, yeah.
Now to be more specific, did Jared Jackson visit you at number 1 Kosana on the 16th of December 2015?
No, no, he didn't.
Did you ever see him on that specific day?
No, no, I didn't.
He also went on, this is Leroux, and he stated that you and him crushed plenty of tablets at your flat and putting it in fruit juice. What did you say to that?
No, that never happened.
Then he also testified that you and Marinda made bookings at the Protea Hotel for accused one,
No,
but he wasn't sure.
no,
Were you ever involved in this booking?
no, not at all.
And then he testified that the evening of the 16th of December 2015, he slept over on the couch at your residence. What did you say?
Unfortunately, he slept over on the couch, but it is possible. But yeah, he normally, if John was there, slept upstairs because they mixed music. But it is possible that he slept over. Yes.
Did you see him on the 16th, the evening of the 16th of December 2015?
No, not really, because I spent most of my time in my room.
And then he testified that the following day you made a number of calls to Zach and police stations, etc., and you freaked out. What would you say about that?
Yes, I did freak out. Zach's the type of person, when he goes fishing, he normally sends you pictures of where he is and what it looks like. He sends you pictures of his first fish. He sends you pictures of his meal he made. So by the night, we didn't receive a call from him. We didn't receive a picture or a message or anything. So by the next morning, I was woken up by my mother, and she asked me what's wrong, and I said, we still haven't heard anything from Zak yet. And you know, it's not like him. He's very, you know, precise about things. So started phoning hospitals. That didn't work, so we started phoning police stations. So we each took, we thought we'll work from this way, you know, from Clarence, and then just everyone phones different police stations.
Who is this everyone?
I found my aunt, because her sister lives in Reitz, which is not far from Peter Steyn and Clarence. I phoned Peter Steyn, Marinda phoned Clarence, and then we would have worked for Enigel, Helbron, you know, work our way back to basically Krugersdorp and phone every police station in line.
And where was Leroux at this stage?
In my house, I think, making coffee, going up and down. I'm sorry, I was busy, so I wasn't really paying attention to where he was.
Did he participate in the search? Let's call it the search.
Yes, he was going to do Vereniging and Helbron. I think he was still looking for their numbers.
And then he also testified that he made calls to Discovery to claim the policy, and that we also saw on the video. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, yes, he did.
How did that come about, that he had to do the calling?
He knew all of Zak's information, and I didn't know any of his information. And Leroux did.
To ask you bluntly, did you request him to do so?
No, actually, the policeman from Peter Steyn said we should contact his car insurance. For something about the car they're going to take the car to the police station, but the car needs to be towed. Sorry, but I was listening to every second word that man was saying. And then he also mentioned that someone needs to go identify the body. I said I'll try and get hold of Zak's parents. And he said we should also find out if he has a funeral plan. And Lex said he would find out on that it could be attached to his life policy. So, yeah, we did find out.
Now, we also heard the testimony.
Was the car insured?
I believe so.
And do you know what happened to the insurance plan?
I've got no idea.
Thank you, my lord.
Yes.
We also heard that your brother-in-law went to Peter Steyn.
Yes.
Why your brother-in-law?
He drove with Marinda. She didn't want to drive alone.
But why your brother-in-law? That was my question.
He's been to Peter Steyn before, but I don't think Marinda was too familiar with the roads.
When were you made the beneficiary of the policy? Could you remember?
No. As far as I know, the first time it was ever mentioned was after the came about. Zak had a discussion with me about putting me, his mother, and his brother on his life insurance. But that was while he was still working for Discovery. So when he asked me for my ID number again, after he left Discovery, I thought the policy just is exactly the same as what it was before. But he was just, you know, see, I'm putting you on mine. And it's like, yeah, fine. And asked me for my ID number. That's basically it. So all he needed was my ID number.
I will return to this topic when I come to each testimony, that is accused one's testimony. But can you tell the court, how did it come about, you being nominated the beneficiary?
He nominated me as the beneficiary of his life insurance.
Did you request him to do so?
No, I didn't.
Did you knew that he had parents and a brother?
Yes, at that stage when he did that, him and his parents had a little bit of an argument about him getting earrings. So
Sorry, I didn't get that last part. They had an argument about?
he pierced his ears, and they didn't agree with that, so they weren't really talking to each other.
And is this what you're saying, that due to the argument he had with his parents, you were made the beneficiary?
Yeah, I thought he would put them on as well, but obviously he didn't.
Coming to the faking of the ID, this is now Jock's ID. Lou testified that you and him actually made this fake ID. What would you say?
No, we didn't. I never saw that ID before.
And he was pretty adamant that you assisted him cutting out the photo, getting the right photo, and sticking the techoderm over the falsified ID.
No, I never helped him to do anything with an ID.
You also said that you wanted accused one to have an ID.
You'd have to speak up, I can't hear you.
No,
Thank you, my lord. Let's go over to the McGregor murder. In January 2016, it was said that you wanted more money for your shrink. We all know that this is a psychologist. And also for one lady, Joan, who required a large amount because her life was in danger. What do you say about that?
that's not true.
Just say again.
That's not true.
Did you have any prior knowledge of Mr. McGregor going to be murdered?
No, I didn't.
I also testified that after the murder, they reported back to you.
No, that never happened.
Now it was also testified that 6,000 rand was withdrawn by Marinda, and that this 6,000 rand was drawn cash the next day, and this money was used to pay your psychologist. This was the testimony of Roux. What did you say?
No, that didn't happen.
Did you ever send Roux to Nedbank to pay your psychologist?
Yes, I did. Numerous times because I couldn't go into Key West.
Was it after this murder took place? One of the payments?
Before, after, a few times he went. I wasn't really taking note of when he goes.
And then he also testified that after the money dried up, you told him to find a solution to get money. What would you say?
I never told him that.
Going to the Schofield murder. It was also testified that by Roux that you were given the cards during the so-called feedback session after the murders of Mr. Schofield. What would you say to that?
No,
His bank cards.
he's never given me bank cards.
And what would you say about the feedback
No,
furnished by him or others with regard to the murder?
no one ever told me anything about murder.
He also testified that you gave him the cards back the following day and you instructed him to go and check again and see if he can draw money. He further testified that with Mr. Schofield's card, doesn't know if it was debit or credit, he purchased items, inter alia a jacket for you.
No, he didn't.
And the jacket was actually worn by you in a couple of court appearances. What would you say?
I said that's not true. The jacket he's referring to, I have worn in court, but he never bought that.
With regard to the McAlpine murder, you would have told him to do the same as with the Schofield murder.
I never
and that you actually went to Kosana 17 and gave the body a kick.
No, that never happened.
And that after the murder of Mr. McAlpine, they actually went to your flat and gave you feedback.
No, no one ever gave me feedback on the murder.
With regard to Mrs. Latergan's murder, were you at all part of the planning or execution of her death? Did you hear about it?
Yes, yes I did.
How did you hear?
The night she went missing, the road in front of our flat was barricaded off. So we knew she was missing. Only found out the next day that she was that her body was found.
You also testified that you actually gave the instruction to dump her body elsewhere because she had a branded vehicle. You deny that?
Yes.
Let's move to the firearms and ammunition. He testified that the firearms actually belonged to a Chinese lady, and he presumed that you knew her.
No, I
What
didn't.
would you say?
I didn't know her.
And that all the firearms were actually brought to your flat at first.
No, those firearms that was here was never in my flat at all.
And were you ever present at Marinda's flat where the firearms were displayed?
No, no, never.
Were you ever present with Marinda at the school where they at the storeroom?
No, I've never been to Marinda School.
Never.
Never.
Were you aware of any of the ammunition that was subsequently found in the storeroom, in the ovens?
No, not at all.
So when did you see the ammunition for the first time?
Yeah, import.
And the firearms?
Import,
My lord, I see it is tea time. May I suggest that we break?
You want a break?
Yeah, I would appreciate it, my lord. If it is fine with my colleagues, maybe just a 10-minute break?
Let's
If it pleases the court.
Let's take 15-minute break then.
As the
To
court
the
please.
gentleman here.